Hi, welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning into this frequency. I'm really excited. I'm following the threads of inspiration to do a reading in honor of the partial lunar eclipse full moon that's approaching. And this is going to be extra special because yesterday I got into the Akashic records and channeled a message for everyone tuning in. So I'm going to share that, and then I've already said my prayer that this be in the highest good of any and all that tune in. And then I'd also like to add that these messages are timeless. So even though we're working with the current energies, that whenever you hear this, there's something here for you. And the catalyst card I pulled in honor of this, to encapsulate the whole reading, is the koi fish. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. We've got this beautiful flowy water, and then with the gold leaf, it's so pretty, flowing upwards towards my new sage stick. Isn't that beautiful? But when I set the cards, like after I pulled that card and set this up, I noticed the raven was there. And I feel like he wanted to be included. And ironically, when I opened up this deck to work with the Ethereal Visions deck, so we're working with the Ethereal Visions and the Dreamscape Oracle, the very ethereal and dreamy, dream states healing, the death card was on top, and that also struck me. So we've got the main card in the middle of the koi fish, surrounded by death and the raven, and the starry night, and the raven's often dissociated with death. And we are now in Scorpio season. The sun has entered, and that is also very indicative of the death and rebirth. And I've been really inspired around the theme of energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can merely be transformed. So I hope that what comes up in this reading can help be transformative for you at this time. It's also, at the time of this full moon, it's the weekend before Halloween. And November 1st is the Day of the Dead, which is a beautiful, beautiful time where the veils are thinner, and there's a whole tradition around it that I just find even more beautiful than any other holiday, about honoring those that have crossed over in remembrance. And so I invite you to do that day. I might do something special for that as well. We'll see. Getting a little bit of momentum with the inspiration here. And the full moon is going to be a partial lunar eclipse, like middle of the day. So I think it's, around 1:30 if you're on the West Coast, and around 4:30 if you're on the East Coast, if you're in the North America. And it is a partial lunar eclipse, and that's where, so the Earth is always in between, it's always the moon and the sun are in opposition to each other for a full moon, and the full moon is reflecting the light of the sun. So the sun is in the constellation of Scorpio now, and its polar opposite is going to be Taurus. So it's in the constellation of Taurus, but all that light is Scorpio reflective light. So we live in a polar universe of duality. So that's when the full moon comes to peak, what's happening. And then the Earth is in the way, but because it's eclipse season, it casts this reddish glow onto the moon, and that's what makes it a blood moon. So we're approaching a full blood moon on the Saturday of Halloween weekend. So Be safe if you go out. Not that you need me to tell you what to do, but if you're listening to this before that, and if you're not listening to this before that, I just hope that this eclipse season has treated you well. Lot of change. I think I brought up in the last video that when I started learning about astrology, I'd hear this like, oh, there are these wormholes, and doors open and doors close, and major change for the next 6 months until the next eclipse window. And it doesn't necessarily scare me, but it's very kind of has me looking over my shoulder of like, what's what. But where you really see this the most is souls choose to cross over at this time, and a few souls have crossed over that I've known, and if you're experiencing that, my heart goes out to you. And there's just very special energy coming up around the Day of the Dead, and I'm getting a little tongue-tied speaking about this. I feel like some energies are wanting to come through already. So that was a long intro. And like I said, this reading is in honor of that. And I'm going to get to the koi fish card here, and then I'll pull some cards. But I also, what makes this so special is that, like I was saying, there's a channeled Akashic record read. So some of it came through about the energy, and some of it came through as just like messages, and those messages are timeless. And that's really sacred to me because I've never tried to do that. So we'll see how this all ties together. So first thing, take a deep breath with me and just recenter, reground into the sensations in your body. Exhale, let go. And you don't have to do anything other than continue to breathe. Listen. Take what you like, leave the rest, take what resonates. And let's see. I am going to start reading this koi fish card. Which it's so interesting to see, water is flowing, to see this like fresh life swimming upstream. There's just a lot of flow, a lot of life, a lot of like almost that, you can almost hear that tail swish and the water splash, and that movement through the water. And then it's surrounded by, the skeleton, this crying girl, and then this like very, doesn't this raven look like it knows all of your secrets and might tell them? Ooh, there's the scales underneath there. Sorry for the... So we're coming off the annular solar eclipse was on the new moon a few weeks ago. If you listen to my messages, I got moon dyslexia and confused those. I'm so sorry. Let me just set that straight right now. I fixed it in the writing, but... let's just talk about that real quick since that came up. Before I read the koi fish card is, look at that. The scales. It's just a very Libra card. Very balanced. All the very purple, spiritual energy, queen-like energy, very composed. So this is the same artist in both of these decks, so I'm pretty stoked about. I think this is the first time I've used them together. So the new moon in Libra, that was on the South Node. If you watched my recent in-between eclipse energy video, I talk about that a little bit. Basically, it's just a point on the ecliptic. That's what makes this eclipse season. And that point on the ecliptic was in the constellation of Libra, with just a lot of past energy. So questions. You might have been revisiting themes of relationship. You might have been seeing what was out of balance. I was really tuned into just the inner listening to another, holding space for another, listening to the internal. Like, that's what came through in my past 2 readings. But when I was in the Akashic Records yesterday, I got a little bit more clear on that, let's say, maybe you've been revisiting some old hurts that you thought had been sutured up and they suddenly started hurting again. Maybe even like a phantom ghost limb. But there could be a ton of processing that also came up as far as just new ways of processing the past. While possibly revisiting how much it hurt, but also kind of staying a little above it with some clearer vision. In this just crystal clarity around what's happened, or like why it happened, the almost the X-ray vision of how it's affected you or impacted you or accelerated your soul's growth. I hope that makes sense. That could all have been up the past few weeks. If it was, please let me know. If something else has been up for you, I'm more than open to hearing what you've been going through. But the main message is that, you know, we're like done with these past versions that are outdated, but and we're sitting in this unknown energy, and it's really uncomfortable, but like we know it's necessary. But then there's also been this extraordinary volatility out in the world, and people are very like, their fuse is really short and kind of like inflamed. That's what it feels like to me anyways. And if you're listening to this around the full moon, I was thinking that the full moon was going to be in Aries, because I was doing the Aries Libra axis, but then I realized like, oh no, it's in Taurus, but the moon, the north node is still in Aries, which is going to be that, like, it's ruled by Mars. It's a very instinctual, but it's also that uncomfortable, that like take a few steps forward, don't know what you're doing, take a step back. It has that energy. So the moon has just come out of that, and it just passed the north node. So like your North Star, your future, the collective's destiny actually, that's squaring Pluto, but we're not going to get into all that. I have a million wonderful astrologers I'll refer you to if you need them. I'm not one of them, but I do have quite a lot of awareness around this stuff. But what to take from that is that maybe you've had, like, maybe this past week you've felt this instinctual tug of the direction you want to go in, while you're integrating everything that came up on the annual solar eclipse in Libra. So everything I was talking about, this like deeper wounds surfacing, or deeper like patterns, or deeper just like painful situations, or just these I'm hearing like confinements, and like wanting to break out of the confinements. So what else around the confinements? This is coming through right now as I'm doing this. Breaking out of confinements, that's a little bit more of a Sagittarius energy, which I'm highly Sagittarius. I have a lot of Sagittarius energy in my chart, I should say. Not that you need to know about me. This is for you. But the full moon is nearing Jupiter, and Jupiter rules Sag. Big energy, big expansive energy. So the other message that came through, I guess we're doing the Akashic channel messages before the tarot cards, oracle cards, was that the Taurus energy is going to help us slow down a little bit, breathe a little bit, get in the body a little bit. And then all of this light is going to be shed on how we're operating within ourselves. And then I would encourage you, if you want to ask, like, what inside of you needs nurturing? What processes need nurturing? What, like, only you can answer that for yourself. Is it you? Is it your relationships? Is it the way you think about things? Is it the what you want to bring into the world? Is it old wounds? Is it like what in you needs most nurtured, and what inside of you needs to let go a little bit more, step out of stagnant places to encourage your expansion. So you're gonna be, those are the two things that I would be mostly holding, especially if you're listening to this whenever you're listening to this. So the other message that came through, I feel like this raven has more to say as well. I felt like that earlier. Something about creativity. There's something about creativity as it relates to death and rebirth. So the moving out of the stagnant places, death is the stagnant place. But, you know, around Halloween, all this scary Scorpio death, dying, I've been so inspired with the, you know, energy cannot die, it can merely change form. So what is it going to change forms into? And that can be the creative process. And I feel like that raven is deeply connected to that creative process. And the message that also came through when I did the Akashic read was find your way, not the known way, not the safe way, but your way, which can be really hard if that goes against societal traditions. But what nurtures you, what brings out your best self, and how can you nurture that while letting go of this like old stagnant energy? But the message that came through also was not just the big, broad, cliche, go outside of your comfort zone, but to what's your window of tolerance and how can you meet the edge of your window of tolerance. So you don't necessarily have to fly off a cliff or take impulsive action. Really hone in, listen to instinctually where you're being called. And that requires that deep listening. Maybe that was like a setup for this message if you've been following me. And then from there, little steps or big steps, like where's the inner spark? What is really calling you? Like where is the energy revitalizing you? And like not just doing things to stay in survival because it's known. And that message really wanted to come through. So the other big message that came through, and then we'll get on with the tarot cards here, was that there's a lot of suffering happening. There's like a lot of horrific things happening in the world. I'm not going to get into specifics, but the message that came through, and this feels really from on high, is that your suffering doesn't ease the world's suffering. So because someone else is suffering, you suffering because they're suffering doesn't ease their suffering. Now, that's different than empathy. That's a whole nother topic. But the message that came through was your suffering doesn't ease the world, and any joy in your heart will add to others' joy in the collective. So that was a really important one. It's kind of hard for us to wrap our heads around. It is not like, I'm going to go play and fuck you. I didn't mean to F you. It is that if you can find the thing in your heart that really sparks joy, that helps humanity. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? And when I started off the Akashic record reading, said did the meditation, said the prayer, got into the space. I always ask what's the most important thing, and I normally have a vision, and then I tend to hear what's coming through. So from the vibrational record of everything, because you exist. It's a little bit etheric, a little bit hard to grasp. It took me forever to grasp until I had this wonderful teacher give me a reading and then teach me how to do it. And I've been messing around with it ever since. I absolutely love it. That's like a little aside on that. I would like to start offering that. So this is like a little baby step. Here's an example. This is like a little baby step of where I'm bringing a little of it to you. So it's not live. We might get to that. And I haven't specifically offered this as a service yet, but it's very like 5D and on. It's a very healing, unconditional, loving vibration. And it's hard to explain if you haven't experienced it yourself or you haven't had a good reading from someone. But I also like to ground that with all the shamanic practices of rooting deep into the earth and being grounded in Pachamama. So I'm sort of this strange amalgamation of bringing the two of those together. But what I'm trying to say is that at the beginning of the reading, I will always ask, what's most important for me to know right now? Normally, I look to my third eye and I see a vision, an image, and then I start working from the image. And then it's like clear audience and clear sentience just takes over. And I know it's not me. It's like, or it's a higher version of myself. It's something purer than my ego could do. So in that moment, I happened to look out the window, and normally I don't have my eyes open, and I saw my dog rolling around the leaves, and just pure joy sparked in my heart. And that little voice came in to say, oh no, you're doing it wrong. Like you're getting distracted. You're opening your eyes. Like this isn't. And then I was like, no, I'm asking what's most important. And it's this joy I'm feeling in my heart, watching my dog roll around in the leaves. So I wrote that down, and then I proceeded to do the reading. And then I got halfway through the reading. Then it just turned into being about what to convey to you. It wasn't for me anymore. And then all this stuff comes through, and then it circled back to joy multiple times. So I say all that just to emphasize that find your joy. Find what brings you joy, and not pleasure in the like. I mean, you can do that. That's very Taurus, like sensual, good food, baths, all that stuff. But having fun, blah blah blah. But I mean, like the joy deep, the untouchable joy, the what really lights you up. And that is an important focus. So. I think that is what wanted to come through for that. The other part, if you're feeling just the last part of that would be to, like, let's say you're having an issue with feeling joy or happiness knowing another is suffering. The other message that came through is to hold the people you care about, or even just those you care about because they're humans, suffering, to hold them in good energy, with good intentions and good outcomes for them. And you could even say, you could write your own little prayer, not in a religious sense, just in the sending good energy, like focusing your thoughts to send good energy of something like, may whatever you're experiencing aid in your soul's growth. I may not know what the bigger picture is, and may I remember I don't know what's best for anyone but myself. And that's what I have control over. But outside of that, I send my love, care, and concern to you, and to hug you in all the ways or places you might need, known or not, and that your suffering eases. Something like that. I don't know. It can be shorter than that. But even just that has benefit. Has like a ripple effect. So with that, that's the perfect segue to the koi fish. Let's segue into that and keep going. If you need to pause the video here, take a little break, you can. I'm half tempted to break this into two, but I'm not. I'm just going to keep going. I think when I look at my, like, I don't think people watch more than 5 minutes at a time anyway, so I'm just going to keep following the inspiration, though, because that's been my message. And it's going to reach who it's going to reach, and if it's your ears right now, thank you. And I don't know, I'm smiling right now, and I don't know why. And I don't know why I'm thanking you, honestly. But something around the idea that when we're... Anyways, I'm... blah, whatever. Scratch that. Okay, the koi fish. In Japanese myth, the koi fish swims upstream along the Yellow River. Once it conquers its many challenges and reaches the river's head, it transforms into a majestic dragon. The Japanese view the koi fish as a symbol of aspiration and good fortune, which is manifest through determination. You have the power to transform your life, and the meaning is you're ready to transform. Good prosperity and wealth are on their way. So you're ready to transform. How incredible is that message after everything I just said? And also with the following, the inner calling, despite how challenging going upstream is. So even if it's felt like we've been swimming upstream, which I know for me it has, nothing's really gone according to plan, and there has just been, I don't know, like in this eclipse window, the energy has been incredibly challenging. There's been a lot of grief, and there's also been a lot of creativity. I think, remember that crow was cawing midway through the last reading? Crows are really creative. Well, this is a raven, not a crow. Ravens are even more majestic. What inspiration in the stars. Wow, this is really beautiful. I'm going to have to do this more often with the two of these decks together. I've been so drawn to the Aquarian tarot deck and that little White Sage tarot deck, but this is like one of my first decks, so I feel like also saying that the abundance could be monetary. That's Taurus, right? Like wealth, Taurus. Survival, how do you sustain yourself? But I feel like there's a deeper message of how do you sustain yourself, like doing what is your way, what's calling you upstream, and to just continue to flow upstream, and then you will turn into the majestic dragon. I love that imagery. I love Japanese anything. I can watch a subtitled movie and fall asleep listening to, I don't know why. I also don't know why I'm just sharing all these little personal things like we're in a conversation. I hope that's okay. I'd really like to, I had a yoga teacher once say that we'll teach you how to communicate clearly, but you'll soon find out it's a lifelong endeavor for how to do that. concisely. Just say what needs said. So working on it. And all right, let's pull some cards. What do we need to know right now to move forward in our soul's highest good? Oh, did you hear that card? Ooh, Judgment. Whew. That also feels like a very Day of the Dead card. If you have, if you're listening, and you have a moment to look at the camera, look, there's the little skulls on the flower, the death and rebirth, the waves in the background, and the spirits like leaving the physical world to go up to source, and this like beautiful mother energy. Wow, that really speaks to Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos. I'd have this little art piece, we all return to the same soup, but like that's the soup we return to, is this like beautiful, unconditional, loving presence. And these souls like wanting to return. That's quite an interesting card for the Judgment card. Did you hear that? I was shuffling and that card just went like shuffling vertically and that card just went horizontal. It also looks like the fish is swimming there as well. Major Arcana card carries some serious weight. I believe the Judgment card is number 20. If that is relevant to anyone. These two cards fell out. The 6 of Cups, the 5 of Pentacles. And I feel like that grief of losing something in the physical world as it transcends into something more spiritual. Is going to be coming through alongside of the reverse 6 of Cups. So what's coming through for this is that whatever maybe you've been processing to old wounds or hurts, all the nostalgia, that the really letting go of that. I'm also hearing this loss of innocence coming through. But to remember this deeper connection to source, and to sometimes there's nothing you can do but hold someone. I was watching a show recently. I'm not going to reference it because I don't want to ruin it for someone, but the daughter dies and the father is like, no, I got to get you up, and he's not accepting the situation. And then it's a really well done scene where right when he accepts the situation, he just holds her and rocks her. And have you ever been in like so much pain and heartache that to just have, there isn't really an answer to the question, it's an insolvable problem. Also, when you lose someone, if someone has passed on and they're gone, like that's unsolvable, right? Like you don't get to see them in the physical anymore. And how can you just be held? That's what the imagery is saying. How can you hold your loss of innocence? I feel like there's also a message of some fear of the financial loss, especially if you're trying to, well, not only if you're trying to make a jump to something else, but just the way the world is right now. It's sort of interesting. interesting energy. But I'm also hearing this like letting go of lack mentality and the poverty, like offering that back up to be regenerated, offering that up as remembering that the tides come and go. And when the tides go out, the tide's going to come in, and the tide has to go back, as a part of the cyclic process, and to let go and allow. And I really feel like that fish is that, like, the koi fish is more swimming upstream, but there's still the going with the force of the, like, trusting the force of nature is what I'm trying to say. Even though sometimes we have to swim upstream. Those are some really powerful cards right off the bat. I mean, the Judgment card is Pluto, so I didn't talk about Pluto a whole lot this reading. I really don't want to. I did in that last little mini in between clips reading, as you know, it basically can represent it rules Scorpio, and it is our deeper soul's depth. And I mean, we're talking about like the soul, the subconscious. You know, if 10% of your brain is conscious, that's going to be Mars. The other 90% is going to be Pluto. So we don't even have access to it, you know, like it could be tons of information in there that we just don't consciously have access to. I forgot that the Judgment card relates to Pluto, and so Pluto is squaring the nodes, and that's like a whole thing in evolutionary astrology. It's a skip step, it's collective, blah 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 blah. I don't want to lose you talking about that, but collectively we're up for this big self-evaluation, and we've just got to purge the things that will hinder us from being renewed. So that also fits with what I was saying earlier, if you followed along this far. And the self-evaluation is incredibly significant to moving forward right now. And you know, maybe this is speaking to what some of this koi fish, these challenges, it's swimming upstream from. We still have this flowy purple in the back here. It's like flowy purple, got all this, like the purple flowers and the Six of Cups reversed. But yeah, I mean, loss of innocence, disappointment, abuse, just you know, like what am I trying to say, disillusionment, the like no longer being naive, like some bubble has recently been popped that can't be unpopped. That might be up for you in this eclipse window. And yet, look how beautiful all the cards look. I feel like it's very heavy messages coming through. But then there's still this like very, I don't know, I call those, well, I don't call those anything. Those are some of my favorite colors. That indigo, my hair was indigo for a long time. Light blues, purples. But the themes are definitely coming through. I'm always so shocked by the themes that come through. I think that's one of the reasons I like pulling cards too, is I think I'll have a mental, deeper understanding and grasp, and then, ooh, Ace of Swords, that card just stuck. and some clarity and inspiration. The cards just help bring the imagery with like they'll show me a different perspective. They'll call me out, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So mountains, fresh clean air, and the crowned energy is ultimately from all this processing the heavy stuff through this eclipse. Like there's I want to say a light at the end of the tunnel. It's like but it really feels like inspired energy, and using that sword to just cut through whatever this is that's been eating away at your soul, is what I'm hearing. And again, the holding theme. So it's a gold hand holding a knife, and you'd think that would hurt. It's more of a metaphorical hand, I think, but I'm hearing, how are you holding things? And then that makes me think back to that scales card of what are you holding? How are you holding it? How light are you holding it? How intense are you holding it? And that also echoes the theme of what is your inner spark, and holding that. What is that inner calling? And what is that? What's come out of all the hardships that you can bring forth in that way? Because that's where your authority and sovereignty is coming from, that experience. Cutting through the Six of Cups reverse also feels like the dumping out dirty water is what it's making me think of, or things you had high hopes for, like a little innocent kid, and they didn't turn out how you want. How do you go through that? This is an incredibly long reading. This day and age, everything's like sound bites and no one's got time or attention, but I hope that you could recognize that I'm offering this as just that, an offering for you. To be in service in a way that maybe I can. So what else do we need to know? Let's maybe do 2 more cards. Maybe 3? 2, 3. Just wrap it up here. That card fell out. Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune. So there's the big Jupiter energy of the full moon, and the change everyone talks about for eclipse season, that like something is dying, whether it's an old way of being or maybe the way you think about things, the way you operate in the world. It could be internal, it could be external. And I say that with utmost respect. So with that comes a reminder that you never know. Time is never guaranteed, and always don't take for granted any moments you have with anyone, because we never know. Ooh, the way the light's hitting that too. There's also the bull is back there, the eagle, the lion, and the maiden. And this foot, I love this foot coming through. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune. Sometimes is read as good fortune, so that could also be echoing the koi fish. But there's also this haunting element of change. Big change. And that's 10, so that's laying over the 20. And to just remember the cyclic nature of everything. And I zoned out. I'm listening while I'm shuffling, and what that wheel is like a compass. That again, following your own inner compass. Strangely paradoxical energy too, because the fish swimming upstream is that's like abundance. Wheel of Fortune's abundance, and then all this other heavy material. Also a reminder too of, when you're down, the only place to go is up. And when you're up, sometimes you forget that you can be back down again. So, the artist card wants to come out. That was sitting face up when I pulled that card, and then I went ahead and shuffled, and it just came out again. So, this card is specific to this deck. I love this card. It's probably because I'm an artist myself, so the fact that it's like an extra card that comes through. This goes back to the vision. So, look, he's got the little wings on his ankles. Nude and just, the vision. What's the vision? That relates to the seer card of the last mini in between eclipse readings, and the creative energy of the raven. I actually want to read this card. Where's the book? So typically in tarot it ends at 21, the world. This deck has 2 extra cards, and so 23 is the artist. The 23rd is also when the sun moved into Scorpio. Okay, so this says, the artist is a vessel of creation. This card signifies mankind and shows when you need to open to the knowledge that's available to you. If you stop and set aside the distractions of the human condition and listen. That's what I was saying in this whole, this will be the 3rd video now in the last 2 weeks. So it's just echoing the what's your passion, what's your vision, what do you want to be creating, and how do you interpret things. I feel like this is complete. I'm also hearing create from the darkness. So if you've had some losses, betrayals, negative situations, what can your experience, how can that help another? And is that through an artistic format or a way of sharing? This card is just, that wheel is glowing. That's also a what can you bring? Two little birds just flew and looked directly at me. Oh, hi little birds. I feel like this reading is complete, but I'm going to pull one last oracle card, and it is the elephant with the stars behind him. So, whew. Big energy, big, gentle, loving energy. Thinking of Ganesh, the remover of obstacles, that correlates with the koi fish of the so don't let the obstacles derail you. Remember to be gentle with yourself and to take the steady steps towards the direction you're feeling called. Remember to nurture yourself, hold yourself and what you want to create. Not too lightly, but not so strong you're going to cut your hand holding that sword. Remember that all things have their cycle and their time, and to honor what's here and now and what's sacred within you, and honor those that have passed that you love, and any kind of good energy you can send out into the world, any kind of joy you can find in your heart is going to enhance the collective and everybody. Was it 5151 when I said that? Okay. Let me just read this elephant card and end it here. If I can find it. That just is like an exclamation point on the whole essay I just wrote for you. I wasn't expecting to see him. Well, maybe I'm not supposed to read this because I can't find it. I get really particular about how these books are set up. Okay, here we go. The elephant never forgets, or so the saying goes. However, these giant gentle beasts are much more than that. They're highly social animals that form family bonds for life. They're extremely loyal and stick together. If the elephant card has graced your home today, consider yourself fortunate and lucky indeed. There we go with the luck theme. Take time to think about what strengths you have and who's in your social circle. Reach out to those you've not connected with, or tackle a new creative hobby. Take time to engage with others and cultivate connections of those who you can count on. So, I think that's everything, and I wish you inner peace and well-being. Take what you like, leave the rest for someone else. Know that you're loved, know that you're not alone, and I look forward to hearing any of your reflections you'd like to share. Thanks so much.